Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Leader Tree, where leadership grows, where strong roots build stronger skills. And in today's world, where the COVID-19 and the coronavirus are taking the world apart around us, it's more important than ever to work on our skills and understand that leadership is what's going to pull us through it. So today I want to talk about an important part of that. I want to talk about apathy, fear, and action. Apathy, fear, and action. What do I mean by apathy, fear, and action? Well, you got to understand a few things about the world you're living in, because things matter right now more than ever when it comes to taking action and getting involved in your future. You can't just simply sit back on the sidelines and say, I'm going to wait it out. To be apathetic is to mean that you're being unmoved by what's going on around you. It means that you're not interested, you're indifferent. It's not going to bother you. It's not going to change any actions that you take. We can't do that right now. Because what we're doing is we're facing a potential Great Depression all over again. It's like the sequel, right? Great Depression, the sequel. Rent it on DVD, folks. So, you got to be careful, right? You got to be more vigilant right now than ever. Let me give you an example of how apathy has just killed a company that has been in business for 15 years. 15 years. That's a long time. These guys beat the odds, right? Because 97.5% of all businesses fail within 5 years. So to go out there and last for 15 years, that was a good business. And the owner of that business failed to take action. He failed to be moved by the current situation in the world. He was indifferent to the fact that he needed to make swifter decisions. And as a result, his company is going to close. And I feel bad for him. But you know what? I gave him the right advice and he didn't follow it. That's his problem. So this company, which I'm not going to name the company obviously, but this company, they were looking for money. And remember, I'm a financial broker, so I was trying to help him accomplish that. For one, he's looking to get factoring started. Well, he needed money from his invoices to continue on because lenders right now don't want to lend, right? Every day another lender is saying, I'm not giving out any more money until I know what's going on. So he needed to start factoring his invoices. So I was helping him with that process. Where we came into a problem was the fact that he already has a loan out there with a different bank. And the bank that he had the loan with, he couldn't pay off that loan in order to get the UCC cleared. Well, a UCC is it's a filing of a lien against his company. When you get money from a bank for your business, they file a UCC lien, which stands for Uniform Commercial Code. And it basically just tells everybody else out there that, hey, this guy borrowed money from me, and I have first dibs on anything that happens to his company if he doesn't pay me back. All right, I have first dibs on all of his accounts, all of his inventory, all of his equipment, everything, until I get my money out of it, if he doesn't pay me back. So it's a lien that they file against it. Well, here's the thing. If you're trying to factor your invoices, and get money on them in upfront. You can't do that if somebody else has already got claim to them other than you, right? So that UCC needed to be cleared. It needed to go away. Well, that bank wasn't going to do that because he wasn't able to pay off that money he owed them. So I told him, I said, not a problem. We'll try to get them to subordinate it. And this is, on the bank's problem because they decided they were going to be short-sighted about this. See, when you factor, when you get money based on your receivables, right? It makes your cash position stronger, and it strengthens the position of your overall company, which means that it's more likely than less likely that you're going to be able to repay your loan to that bank. So subordinating it to a factoring company is usually a pretty easy thing to accomplish because they understand that. But this particular bank in this particular situation in the world with the COVID-19 issues, they're being very short-sighted. And they said, well, it's not something we're going to do right now. We're not going to, give up our position, because in their mind, they don't care if he goes out of business anyway, because they've got access to all of his stuff if they do. It's just short-sightedness on their part, but it impacted him in a huge way. Now he's got to buy out that loan somehow. So we worked together, and I said, okay, I got a friend who owns a finance company. Let me talk to him. Let me see if I can get him to do this. I called in a personal favor with my buddy in order to make this happen. I said, look, I need you to write a loan, and I'm going to need you to subordinate the loan to so he can factor. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do it. Send me all the information. Let me verify that I'm going to do it. I sent him the information. He said, yes, I can do this loan for you. It was a big loan. So it was a big ask that I asked of him. So I go through all of that for this dude. And then he says to me, well, I want to know what the interest rate's going to be before I do it. I said, what? Well, if it's too expensive, and if it's more expensive than what my current loan rate is, it doesn't make any sense to change. I said, guy, you have to change. You don't have a choice. Are you going to be able to survive if you aren't going to be able to factor your invoices? No. If I'm going to have to go bankrupt. Okay, well then you've got to get that other bank out of there. Right? They're holding your company hostage with that UCC, and they're saying that you can't factor, and they're not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. They've got to get out of the picture. I've got this guy who's willing to do this for you. He's willing to give you the money to buy out that loan, and he's willing to subordinate the UCC to us so that we can factor your invoices and get you some money now. You need to act on it, though, because he already told me that he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be lending. And other lenders are already stopping. They're already shutting down on their lending processes. He says, yeah, but I need to know what the interest rates are. I'm like, wow, okay, whatever. But I told him, I said, look, it doesn't matter what the interest rates are. It could be twice as damn expensive. If you don't do it, you're going to go out of business, so you don't have a choice. But I don't think they are. I think they're going to be cheaper. So I got information about what he's paying now, and I asked my buddy, and I said, what are you going to be? Give me a range. I know you can't give me the specifics until he does the application and all that, but give me a range. So we did all that. He said, okay. It's a little higher, but I think it's okay. Turns out it wasn't really higher. He thought it was higher because he thought he was paying 14%, but he wasn't paying 14%. He was paying 35%. My guy came to him with 17%. Anyway, So I get all of this done on a Sunday, and I don't like to work on Sundays, but I understood the urgency of what's going on in the world. I understood the urgency that things needed to happen now versus later. I understood the urgency of taking action and not waiting, not being apathetic to what was going on in the world. And I stressed this to him over and over again. I said, fill this application out today. Get this done today. Because you don't know what the future holds. Get it done now. Well, he said he was going to do it. Monday evening, I call up to check on it. And my buddy says, application hasn't been done. I can't do anything. Okay, let me call him. So I call him. And he says to me, well, I'm going to look around for some other loan offers first. I want to, make sure that I'm going to get the right deal. Again, it's like, wow, what are you doing? I said, fine, you know what? Do whatever it is you want to do, but you need to do two things. You need to do it fast. Because, and again, I stress the economic situation we're in the world. I said, look, lenders are not lending. And Eddie told me that he won't be lending long. He can't hold this loan available for you. You need to do it now. And the second thing I told him was, you need to understand that it doesn't matter about just simply getting a loan. You also have to have one that's willing to give away their security to another company so that you can factor your invoices. That's a really hard thing to come by right now. My guy is willing to do that. That's why I talked to him for you. I put my personal relationship with him on the line at a time in the world when he should not do that. He's doing it. So you need to act on that. Okay. All right. I will do it today, he said. Okay. Tuesday comes. He hasn't done it. Wednesday. I talked to him Wednesday morning. He said that he was looking into it, but he was checking on another loan again. So I stressed the importance again. Finally, Wednesday afternoon, at like 6 o'clock in the evening, actually, he sends me an email that says, I'm filling out the application. Okay, good. So he fills out the application. Thursday morning, I call Eddie and I say, he filled out the application yesterday. What do you need in order to make it happen? And Eddie tells me that they had a meeting at the bank on Wednesday morning, and they went over all the new parameters of everything that's going on with the COVID-19 and the government and all these other things. And they decided that they were only going to make loans up to a certain level and with certain parameters. And now, because this guy waited until Wednesday night to fill out the app when he could have done it Sunday, now he falls outside of those parameters. And so he can't get the loan to buy out the other loan. And nobody else is willing to help him with it. So, long story being long, he's now in a position where his business is closing. He's in process right now. of having to close his company because he can't fill orders. He can't pay his bills. He has no cash on hand. And another bank is holding him hostage so that he cannot do anything in order to get that money. And the only one he has to blame is himself and his own apathetic nature. He wasn't moved. He wasn't moved by what was going on in the world. He was afraid to take action. You know? He was afraid to take that leap and commit himself to another loan, but he needed to. It was something that was important. And you got to take that leap. You know, taking that leap sometimes is really the hardest part. You know, anyone can spend time analyzing your fears and your abilities. It takes another skill sometimes to just throw caution to the wind and accept that life happens to us, with or without our blessing. But you got to take that leap toward your future, whether it's uncertain or not. You know? It's partly because he didn't think it was real. He didn't believe that the outside world was going to affect his situation. And by the time he realized it, and finally took some action, it was too late for him. Now he's just another statistic. Now he's just another failed business. And I kind of feel bad for him, but at the same time, I literally told him over and over and over again, get off your tail and get this done, or it's going to be bad for you. It's like the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, right? Fear sometimes holds us back because it is part of our reptilian part of our brains. If you're familiar with the old Triune model of how the brain functions from psychology class or whatever, it's a reptilian part of the brain. It's primitive. It's back there, ingrained in our DNA at this point. It's the whole fight or flight response. When something scares you, do you fight through it or do you run away? You know, you never know what you're going to do until you're in that moment. When I was in the Army, you can train a soldier to do the right thing. You can train them to take action. You can train them to not think about it and just react. You can train them to do all those things. But when they go to battle, you have no way of knowing if that soldier is going to fight back when the bullets start flying, or if they're going to hit the deck, crawl up into a little ball, and start crying like a baby. You have no way of knowing, and neither do they. They can be the coolest dude, the best guy, but when the bullets start flying, when the bombs start exploding, they could come up wanting pretty quick. And that first instance tells you everything you need to know. And they can learn to overcome it. They can choose to ignore it and push forward and fight. But it's hard. It's hard. I can give you an example. But you got to remember that fear grips you, right? I mean, it terrifies you. It will subdue you subconsciously. And it will do everything it can to stop you. Because it is a primitive function, incapable of understanding the complexities of modern life. It doesn't care about what you got going on. It doesn't care about what you think your protections might be. It just thinks, that's too dangerous, run away. That's how it acts. Let me give you an example from my own life of a time that I was afraid and fear was gripping me. And not just me, but everybody around me. But I made a conscious choice to overlook that fear. And it's important that I tell you up front here, I'm not afraid of flying, right? Flying doesn't bother me. Falling from the sky in a jet plane, however, that's another story. So I don't actually fly very often, but I do if I have to. And on this particular flight that I'm talking about, I was roughly 40,000 feet up in the sky on a Delta flight, which, by the way, Delta is the only airline I trust. They're the ones that stay in the sky more often than drop out of it. So, that's the only one that I fly. But on this particular flight, I remember I was sitting next to a pretty little girl. She was about 8 years old or so, and her mom. And they were on their way to Disney for the first time in her little young life. So she was super excited about that. And we were talking about it. We went through a cloud on the plane, and it started, with turbulence, right? So, to be fair, though, it was pretty rough turbulence. I mean, it was like we were shaking around pretty good. But it's not out of the ordinary for that to happen. This little girl, however, got real scared about it. And her mom was trying to calm her down. And I just leaned over, because we'd already been talking and stuff. So I just leaned over and I told her, I said, hey, don't worry about it. This is all perfectly normal. And I explained to her about what turbulence was, how it affected the plane, what it meant. And she was cool. She was like, okay, cool. All right. I'm okay now. That was great. So here's the kicker, though. Just about at that time, her mom looks over to say thanks for calming her down and helping her with her nerves. And the plane nosedives, man. I mean, it just straight toward the ground. No warning. No indication. Just suddenly we're falling from the sky. No reason that we can see. Everybody on the plane is screaming. Everybody's crying. Things are tumbling down the aisles. People are tumbling down the aisles. It was insane. The plane was shuddering so hard, I thought my teeth were going to fall out of my head. So here I was, and I'm confronted with my impending death. Utterly terrified. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know how fast we were falling. I didn't know why we were falling. What I did know, though, was that heading straight toward the ground at a rapid pace is not standard turbulence. And people don't usually live through it. I was gripped with uncontrollable fear that day. But I made the choice, a conscious choice. Unconsciously, I was terrified. So I made a conscious choice to ignore it. Because I couldn't change it anyway. It just was going to happen. There's nothing I could do about it. My seatbelt sure as hell wasn't going to help me. Right? So, when I did that, though, when I made that choice, I instantly felt a little freer. I instantly felt a little better. And I looked around at all the people flailing about, wailing for their lives, holding one another as tightly as they could, one last time. And I decided, I don't want to be that way. I don't want fear to be the last thing on my mind when I go meet my maker. So I chose to ignore it and enjoy my ride to eternity. As a matter of fact, I even remember pulling a cigar out of my jacket pocket and unwrapping it. I figured if I was going to go, I was going to go out on my terms. And I figured, you know what? The FAA will forgive me because it's not like we're all going to die of cancer. We're about to plummet into the earth. We're going to be dead in a moment. What do I care? I'm going to kick back. I'm going to light up. I'm going to pull the Sky Mall magazine out. And I'm just going to check out some stuff that I'm never going to get. That's how I chose to go. But then, as if by magic, the plane just levels off. And the pilot comes on and says, "Well, that was interesting, huh? Not exactly sure what that was about, but we're going to go ahead and climb back up. We'll get you to Orlando safely." No explanation. I never did find out what happened to that plane. I couldn't even get my money back because technically he did get me to Orlando safely. A little shooken up for it, but safely. Fear grips you, man. It terrifies you. It subdues you subconsciously. And it does everything it can to stop you. Because it's a primitive function. So you've got to choose to overlook it. You've got to choose to take matters into your own hands. To take action. To not be apathetic to your fate, to your future, to what's going on around you. People are losing their jobs daily right now. They're out of work. Moments, not days, decide your fate right now. You got to take action. You need to look for a new job. Now's that time. Look for the right job, though, right? Use your brain. Look for a job where you can work from home that doesn't depend on anyone else. Look for a job like what I do, right? As a factoring broker. Look for a job where you're in control of your own fate. Those kind of things are important. I actually teach a class on that at factorcareers.com. You can check it out. factorcareers.com. I can teach you how to take control of your own life, be your own guy, and be Great Depression Part 2 proof. Because while everybody else is looking for work and being thrown out on their ear because their companies don't know what the future holds, you could be going strong. At factorcareers.com, we teach you how to be your own people. We teach you how you can work from home as a financial broker and to take your life into your hands. You got to give people good advice. And that's what we're giving you here today. All right, folks, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here today at the Leader Tree. Remember, take good care of each other out there. Don't let apathy slow you down. Take action. Don't be indifferent to what the world around you is having to say about your future. And don't let it say what your future can be. Don't let fear stop you from going and getting things done. Don't let anything get in your way of being the very best that you can be. Until next time, I'm Chris Miller, reminding you to keep smiling.